Welcome everybody to the Finance Road Trip Podcast Part 2, the Black Wall Street Tour, also known as the Digital Financial Revolution Tour, where I take you on my journey to 22 cities with cryptocurrency exchange owner Naja Roberts with the goal to close the wealth gap through group economics and financial literacy and a focus on Bitcoin, which we believe to be the evolution of money. Naja Roberts and Hill Harper partnered to create the Black Wall Street Wallet, where you can buy, sell, and send your Bitcoin to your cold wallet. Make sure to follow me on all major platforms at CJ the Smart Guy and check out thedfrtour.com for more information on 2022 tour. Thank you. So we left Chicago early morning, May 22nd, to get to Indianapolis. What I can say is that Chicago, being the first city to where we had multiple events in one day, made people tired. I know that Kwesi and Navon, they were talking to their city. It was like very emotional. All of us felt the love in Chicago. And so we left about 45 minutes late. We had kids. We had a whole bunch of people to get ready. And so we were about 45 minutes late. The problem is once we got to Indianapolis, we then realized that there was also a time zone change. Because we were so focused on Chicago and Detroit, we could tell that we were tired. We didn't have too many breaks. When we got to Indianapolis, we're actually almost 2 hours late. So I personally want to apologize to Indianapolis for being late, because not only were we already going to be about 45 minutes late, but due to the time zone change, we're an additional hour late. And we didn't even realize that we were almost 2 hours late until we got there. So we hadn't even let them know how late that we were actually going to be, because we thought, 30, 45 minutes, it'll be okay. But when you add in that extra hour due to time zone, it got kind of bad. So big apologies to Indianapolis. And so after we spoke to them, there was a few people who wound up staying, and we spoke to them inside of a classroom, but that classroom had been rented out by somebody else. So we actually kind of missed the whole Indianapolis performance. So we left and we went directly to Louisville. What I will say is that traveling to Louisville, we definitely saw a lot of Confederate flags. They were all over the place. Not necessarily in Louisville, but on the drive there from Indianapolis. So that was eye-opening. When we got to Louisville, man, the hotel was nice. It was right downtown. I felt like this was going to be extremely luxurious, except when we got there, late at night, there was no food spots that were open. Because of COVID, a lot of food spots were closed, restaurants were closed, bars were closed, food preparation spots were closed. So I was hungry, and we had to order food, and it took hours to come in. So I definitely remember Louisville because I was very, very hungry, just waiting for some type of food. But it cost to be the boss, so it's all good. I was really, really excited about Louisville because it would be my first time meeting Lamar Wilson. For those that don't know, I've been following Lamar since 2017 when Dr. Boyce Watkins introduced him to me and to his following as a cryptocurrency expert, mostly because he's a Bitcoin developer. Lamar has been in Bitcoin since 2012, 2013, and has been urging people to get into Bitcoin, to dollar cost average meaning put some money into Bitcoin, buy some on a set interval basis so that whether the price is up or the price is low, it's all about accumulation, not necessarily a gain or loss in terms of US dollar. And so he's been talking about this since 2012, 2013. And I started listening to him too in 2017 when he had a group called Wacoinda that changed to Coinda. And he's been just, really trying to help people out. He's the co-founder of the Black Bitcoin Billionaires, him as well as Isaiah Jackson. And so December 2020 is really when I started getting truly involved with Lamar, not just on a following basis, but in an interactive back and forth basis through the Black Bitcoin Billionaires Club on Clubhouse. And so just going to Louisville to meet up with him was extremely awesome. Like, y'all don't really understand. It's like having a mentor and finally meeting him. I remember when I first met Nipsey Hussle in 2014, and it was the same type of feeling where it's like, man, I've been following you. I've been paying attention to your every move. Not only did I just pay attention, but I have incorporated the things you've said into the things that I've been doing. So not only am I just listening to you, I am growing and increasing my worth, my value because of you. So there's a certain type of appreciation that really is difficult to express with words. But let's just say I was extremely happy to meet Lamar Wilson, and it was a great experience. When we got to Louisville, we went to a place called Club Cedar, which is 416 South 26th Street in Louisville. And when we get there, I was like, whoa, this was a real, true, like, community event. This wasn't like some of the other ones where when we got there, we were the main event. No, there were vendors there. They had, not Chuck E. Cheese, but they had like some black characters dressed up in like Chuck E. Cheese outfits. Like they was dancing and turned up. So like kids were out there. You had vendors trying to sell their products, their merchandise. And not only that, but we also had District 43rd House of Representative Charles Booker to come out. He was part of the House of Representatives from 2019 to 2021, but then he decided to run for Senate and lost to Amy McGrath in the primary because, look, it is very impertinent that we get Mitch McConnell out of office. Like, I don't know how else to express it. When I talk about some of the 3 to 5 worst politicians for black Americans in this country since the 1960s, you have to put Mitch McConnell in that category. And so, I put Biden in that category due to the crime bills previously. I put Mitch McConnell in that category. He said things like reparations have already been served because Obama became president. And so when you just look at that type of thing, I've been wanting Charles Booker to win. Unfortunately, lost to Amy McGrath, who then lost to Mitch McConnell. I think that if Charles Booker were going against Mitch McConnell directly, he would have won. However, he lost. And so now he's running against Rand Paul for the other Senate seat. Me personally, it's not that I support Rand Paul. It's just that with the COVID situation, I like the fact that he was anti-vaccine. It just gives a different perspective. I don't want all government to be focused on one thing. And if it's a negative thing, then, it leads everybody into destruction. So I kind of like that there's different views. I really wish that Charles Booker had won against Amy McGrath because I definitely want him to take out Mitch McConnell. But Ron Paul, we'll see. And so I got to meet him. He got to speak. It was my first time meeting a House of Representatives on the tour, but it was eye-opening because it was like, man, we're really doing something. Not only did we meet the mayor in Mount Bayou, we had started meeting politicians around the whole country. And it wasn't necessarily that they were meeting me, is that they were meeting the team, mostly Naja. It was very eye-opening. And, it was just a great moment to see Lamar Wilson, to see House of Representative Charles Booker there. I also got to meet up with fellow Black Bitcoin Billionaire moderator and software developer, Retti. He is a Bitcoin developer. He's been in the space since 2014. He's been a BBB mod. He doesn't really come on as much as he used to. However, when BBB first started, he wasn't talking about all the developer things along with Lamar and a couple other developers. So they had got that software talk that I necessarily don't understand all the time, but it's just great to see him in person. He got to speak. Charles Booker got to speak. Also, Black Regal came. Black Regal came to Detroit. He came to Louisville. He also came to Miami. So big shout outs to both Retti and Black Regal for coming out and showing out. Man, the whole Louisville experience was just really, really awesome. The vendors there, the people asked questions. People were buying things. The little Chuck E. Cheese. They're not Chuck E. Cheese, like I said. They were like black kids that were, looking like Chuck E. Cheese, like they were in those little outfits. And so just seeing them all turned up, seeing the people out there, Louisville was extremely great. And then afterward, Lamar treated us all to food. So I got to eat really, really well. Like I said, when you're on tour, anytime somebody brings you food or snacks or they treat you to a meal, it's a huge thing. So I want to give a big shout out to Lamar Wilson for taking care of all of our food. And big shout outs to Club Cedar. Man, that venue was awesome. Hopefully we're there again in 2022. I know we're still trying to figure out the scheduling, the location, the city allied, things of that nature. I know Lamar is very, very busy, so sometimes he can't organize these things. But Friday, July 8th, 2022 at 6 p.m., we will be back in Louisville, hopefully at Club Cedar, because that venue was awesome. The people definitely showed out. They asked a bunch of questions. They were interactive. You could tell they were listening. Even the kids were engaged. So Louisville, I feel like we made a huge impact on Louisville as a city just because they were engaged. They were paying attention. They were asking questions. The kids were happy. And some of the adults were able to have drinks because of Club Cedar. So big shout outs to Louisville. We'll be back July 8th, 2022. CJ the Smart Guy. I'm out. Deuce.